I'm Katelyn Mattson, and this is the Green Room on Radio Kansas. I have Opera Kansas joining me today. They are preparing a really interesting work in collaboration with Old Cowtown, and they're actually going to be performing at Old Cowtown. I have with me the director of Opera Kansas, Matt Schloniger, and also one of the artists who's in town currently. He's going to be a part of the production, Tim Bostwick. Hello to both of you.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So let's start with just the logistics of the production. Where is it at and when is it and how do we get tickets?
Well, as you mentioned, Caitlin, the production will actually be in the Visitor Center at the Old Cowtown Museum right in downtown Wichita. I'm always amazed how people often don't know much about Cowtown or have been there, but it is a great place. And you can get tickets at operakansas.org. You can also find links on Facebook and Eventbrite. Tickets are, I believe, $35 and down for seniors and students. And the performances will be at 8 p.m. on Friday, January 31st and Saturday, February 1st. So we hope you'll come out and join us. The show is only, it's one act, it's about 75 minutes long, but it is power-packed, amazing show. And it's actually, it's a new work. By a very well-known composer named Missy Mazzoli. And Proving Up is now being done by many companies all across the country because it is proven to be such a powerful and popular work. And it is a story about homesteaders, thus the perfect venue for us to do it here in Kansas at Old Cowtown Museum.
Yeah, and also just kind of there's a connectedness there, right? There's some sort of
Exactly,
full
exactly.
circle
Yes,
storytelling happening. And
exactly.
Timothy, you're in town from Wisconsin or
I live in DeKalb, Illinois, and then I am the voice area coordinator at University of Wisconsin-Platteville. And yes, Matt is very lovely and invited me back for my second show with Opera Kansas, and it's just been a treat working on such wildly different music. I was in town for Gilbert and Sullivan before, and this is the complete opposite of what you would expect from that. It's a very intimate work that has surprises that you wouldn't even guess at when you hear the opening of the show.
and you are performing the role of Pa.
I am performing the role of Pa. I
Pa as in father.
Pa
PA.
is in, yes, father. And a he has been living in, this is set in Nebraska, but he has been living on the prairie for 5 years, and he is getting ready to apply for ownership of this land. And this kind of tells the story and the twist that goes on in how it's approached. Originally, this comes from a short story by Karen Russell, correct, Matt?
Correct.
Yeah, and it was adapted by Royce Vavrick and set by Missy Mazzoli, and it's just the most interesting setting of how we began what we would come to know as the Homestead Act and begin to understand what it was to be a Midwesterner as well.
Matt, what particular challenges are there staging this work or bringing these artists together to collaborate on this?
Well, it is a difficult work musically. I'm sure Tim can attest to that, although it's very powerful and beautiful and interesting. I think one of the most difficult things is actually getting all the instruments we need. The score calls for seven hanging open-tuned guitars that the percussionist hits with a mallet. So we have to have seven open-tuned guitars and figure out a way to hang them up. And then I believe there are six or eight harmonicas that are different tuned that both the orchestra and some of the members play on stage. So it's a real interesting combination of some some traditional American musical forms and modern forms combined with a little bit element of I guess horror perhaps. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yes.
very interesting show. So I think just getting all the different unique pieces that we need for the orchestra is actually has been one of the most interesting, challenging parts for us.
How interesting. And you say striking those open guitars with the mallet. I mean, you don't mean violently. Like you don't have to find guitars that are trashed to begin with,
No,
do you?
no. Although I hope I'm not sure how safe it is for them either. But yes, yeah, you hit them with a mallet, so it gets kind of this creepy clanging sound that does fit with the vibe of of 1870s, the planes in 1870s. Well, and some influence of fiddle tunes,
Mhm.
and things like that, which make it a really interesting, unique show.
We'll talk more about it. We're going to take a short break and be back with Opera Kansas to discuss this Missy Mazzoli's Proving Up, this one act opera they are presenting at Old Cowtown at the Visitor Center, uh, January the 31st and February the 1st. We'll be back. I'm Katelyn Mattson. This is the Green Room. Opera Kansas joins me today to talk all about their next project, which is Proving Up, a one-act opera by Misty Mazzoli. They are doing this in collaboration with Old Cowtown at Old Cowtown at the Visitor Center. And performances are January the 31st and February the 1st. Joining me in the green room, I have artist Timothy Bostwick, who plays a character in the opera, but then I also have Russell Adrian, who's music director of the production as well. Russell, I want to ask you a couple questions about Proving Up in particular. This is a contemporary opera. Can you tell us a little bit about what a listener should expect?
Well, I think the neat thing about the music is that it really depicts the experience of being a settler in 1877. Sometimes we might romanticize like how that experience was, but there are many things that were very difficult. And so I think the listener will really hear that in the music. There's a number of different sections that would describe as kind of just soundscapes or sound palettes where the instruments are doing interesting things like sliding on the string of the violin as they play it, or atonal music that creates a very dissonant sound. And I think that really portrays the experience that the actors are trying to create on stage in a very interesting way.
Tim, from a singer's standpoint, being that the instrument is your voice and part of the mechanism that is necessary in order for all of that to work, are your ears. And we talk about oral skills, the ability to read music and learn music. And when it comes to contemporary music, I mean, be really honest here. Is a piece like this really difficult for you to learn and kind of get into your brain?
Oh yes, this is. I like to talk about these pieces as ongoing learning, because
I like that.
yeah, it's one of the things where you can know the work in a practice room and you can have the melodies in your head, you can be able to find all of the pitches, and then suddenly when you get with the piano or you get in front of a conductor, it feels completely different or it's sonically different in your ear. And so you have to then go back to your score and restudy and relearn. Last night was so interesting because our wonderful pianist switched the keyboard into strings and it changed the sonic atmosphere. And so it was hard to find some of those pitches. So yet again, I found myself this morning going back through this music and relearning parts of it because it's never done in learning. And that's the approach that we take with all types of music. But this in particular, it's rhythmically difficult. It's pitch difficult. As an ensemble, you have to be able to assist your castmates with whether they're having problems with an entrance or having problems with any number of different things. And so to be in this opera is really a dedication of being part of an ensemble. And Russell's done a really amazing job with that because, as I said, this is a very rhythmically difficult piece. And so without him there as the conductor, as the leader, I'm not sure that we would be having as much fun doing this as we are right now.
And Russell, how big is the cast?
There are, it's basically set as a family. So there is Ma, Pa, two sisters, two brothers, and then there's another character called the Sodbuster, which we won't talk about too much to spoil the ending of the show.
And I've heard, and Matt said this as well. Matt Schloniger, when I was speaking with him, he actually used the word horror. There is an aspect to this one act opera where it's horrifying, um, and and as you said, atmospheric a couple times, as well. So we shouldn't come expecting a barrel of laughs. It's not Gilbert and Sullivan, right?
Yeah, but it does really make you think. I mean, we in Kansas recently have had some very cold weather. I mean, could you imagine living in a sod house and that experience? We sometimes minimize those experiences. And I think to go along with what Tim said, even though it's difficult music for us to perform, I think our goal is not for it to make not to make it sound difficult. You know, there's places where the sopranos are singing one step apart from each other and they're sliding and moving around, but they're doing it as an effect of the music. And so we hope the listener listens to it and hears those sound effects and that atmospheric, but it's not like you're going to something that you're just like, oh man, this is really hard to listen to. That our job as musician is to do all the work so that you as a listener are pretty much transported into the scenes that we're trying to create, which go along to tell the story of these people.
Proving Up by Missy Mazzoli is at Old Cowtown, the Visitor Center. The last day of January, January the 31st, and then also February the 1st. For more information and for tickets, you can visit operakansas.org. I've been talking with Russell Adrian, music director, and visiting artist Tim Bostwick about the production. Have a wonderful couple of weeks preparing, and I'm so excited for you and for the cast and the company and for anybody who has an opportunity to see it. So I wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us.
Anytime.